Hello there, and today's date is the 6th of June. So I would just like to go through some of my recent posts that I've made on social media. Just two or three that I'd like to talk about for those who are not following me on any social media platforms, and obviously I can go into them a bit more in detail when making a video. But before I discuss these social media posts, I'd just like to say thank you very much to everyone who has subscribed to this YouTube channel since I started it in 2008, so 12 years, because as of yesterday or late the day before, I reached 100,000 subscribers, as you will probably notice in the subscriber count, which is really nice to know the information is getting out there, and it's nice to have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I believe I can apply for some kind of silver award now, which I will do. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed here. It's highly appreciated. Also, while I'm saying thank you, I'd also like to say thank you to everyone who sent donations in recently over the last few weeks, since I've been doing all the sort of extra updates regarding our current situation on planet Earth. And anyone who has sent a donation in, you should have had a thank you from me. If you haven't received that, it's because your email address has bounced back to me and I haven't been able to contact you, but I have tried with everybody who's donated. So again, thank you so much. Your support is appreciated more than you can possibly know. And every time I see a donation come into my PayPal account, my heart just opens, and I feel it's just so much more than a financial appreciation. It feels to me like such a token of appreciation in a multi-dimensional way, and it's just such a wonderful, it's just so wonderful to receive, and I'm in so much gratitude for that. So thank you to everyone who's donated, and thank you to everyone who's subscribed to this channel. So now I'd like to get into some social media posts. Two of the posts are in the same vein. But I'll start with the one that I made yesterday, which is specific to a dream that I had early yesterday morning. So this dream was what they call a false awakening. I've had many of these over the years. They're very much a prelude to lucid dreaming, and often a prelude to out-of-body experience and astral projection. If you've never had a lucid dream, which is a dream where you're aware that you're dreaming, or if you've never had an astral projection, which is where you are actually coming out of your body and turning around and looking at your body asleep, or flying out of the window, or exploring your house downstairs while you're in that projected state, as in projecting your light body forward, your dream body forward while you're still asleep. If you've never had that, a prelude to this is what they call a false awakening. And it can actually happen several times before you go into the lucid dream. But even after years of having lucid dreams, years of having out-of-body experiences, you can still get the false awakenings and still not realize that you are dreaming. So false awakening is where you literally are in your bed, and you wake up and you think that you're awake. You can actually see your bedroom, you can see your bed covers, you can see everything in the room that you would see if you were actually awake. Now, sometimes you might actually get up, get out of bed, you may put a dressing gown on, or even get dressed to look out the window. You may go to the bathroom, you may go downstairs, you may start cooking your breakfast, you may do anything that you would normally do when you were waking up. But something feels like it's not quite right. For example, if you've got a duvet cover that's usually pink, it might be blue in the false awakening, but you might not quite realize. So there are many, many different stages to the false awakening. And sometimes you can have one false awakening, then another one, and actually think, when I woke up just now, that was a false awakening, that was a dream, but now I'm really awake. But you're actually still in a false awakening. And you can actually have a series of these. You can have 5 or 6 false awakenings. And each time you think you're awake, and there are degrees to this. Sometimes you really, truly believe you're awake. Other times you believe you're awake, but something doesn't seem right, but you don't know what it is. Other times you are actually wondering, am I awake or am I dreaming? And you try to do things to try to find out if you're dreaming, like turning light switches on because they rarely work in dream space, or pinching yourself, or looking at your hands. Then you may get to the point where you think, I'm not actually awake, I'm still dreaming, which is wonderful, because when you're there, then your realization will take you into a lucid dream or an out-of-body experience, usually an out-of-body experience, because a false awakening, you'll be close to your body, you'll be by your body, or in your bed still. So this is what happened to me. I had a false awakening, and my false awakening was the type where I did not realize that I was dreaming. I believed I was actually awake. So I'm going to read the post on social media and then discuss it further. So this is what I wrote. My dream this morning, 5th of June, 2020. Okay, so this is what I wrote yesterday. I feel this is important, so I'm posting on here before I make a video. So I wanted to get this out as soon as possible because it was in my mind and I felt this is important information. Bearing in mind, this is a dream. And with dreams, sometimes they are a jumbled mass of things that have gone on in the day, or things that are in your mind, and your subconscious is trying to work them out. Other times they can be a bit of that, but also a bit of higher inspiration, knowledge you might not have been aware of during the day, or on any level, and you're getting new information come in. Or you might actually be communicating with an externalized aspect of your consciousness, or an externalized aspect of the collective consciousness, either for this planet or multiple planets, or for the galaxy. So you're looking at light beings and ascended master beings and spirit beings and guardian angels, etc., etc. So there are levels of that kind of dream, of different types of dream. So what I was saying here is I feel this is important, so I'm posting on here before I make a video, because when I have a dream, I can tell the difference now, because I've been working with dream work for so long. I know whether this dream is specific for an individual. So is this dream for my sister? Is this dream for my best friend? Is this dream for a family? Or is this dream something that is global and for everybody? So when something comes in that I know is a global dream, then I will aim to deliver this to everybody. And obviously, since the whole virus and lockdown situation, the dream time has become more profound for all starseeds. And I've noticed that myself, because we're picking up information. We're not getting information on the physical level by all of the usual channels. We can find information on the physical level if we go beyond those mainstream channels and look for alternative channels ourselves. But even on the third dimensional level, it's difficult to decode what's actually happening. So we go above that level, and the dream space is usually fourth dimensional. It's not a third dimensional state. When you're dreaming, you're in the fourth dimension. But some of you can actually go beyond the fourth dimension into fifth and higher dimensional states when you're dreaming, because all the dimensions are available to us when we're in the dream state. So this particular dream, it wasn't an out-of-body experience. It wasn't a lucid dream. Well, it was a lucid dream, but it was the precursor to a lucid dream, the false awakening. So it's lucid in the sense that you are in your bedroom, like you would be as if you just come out of the body, but if you don't know you're dreaming and you think you've woken up and you think that that's real, it's not a dream as such. So information you can get in that state is profound. And I would say dimensionally, you are looking at the higher harmonics of the fourth dimension. So the dream I spoke to you about in one of my previous videos, where I went out into the solar system, out into the galaxy, and went to the asteroid belt and to the remains of Tiamat and received information there. This is fifth dimensional and somewhat sixth dimensional. This is an out-of-body experience. In fact, it was bordering on and may well have been a near-death experience. And the other dream that I had, which I also spoke about, which I asked the 9 to assist in analysing, was the dream where I saw President Donald Trump in this bunker. This was more of a prophetic dream. So this would have been the higher echelons, the fourth dimension, because I dreamt that he was in a underground bunker, and when I woke up I quickly found out that actually he really was in an underground bunker, or in some kind of facility like an underground bunker at the exact time I had the dream. So this is different. This was higher echelons of the fourth dimension simply because it's a false awakening and a precursor to a lucid dream. But the information received in this dream is not monadic. So out in Tiamat, in the asteroid belt, I received a monad. And when I was meeting or saw Donald Trump in the bunker and he gave me the white paper, it was a monad being an infinite structure in and of itself, meaning it's it can go on and on and on. You can analyze it forever. It's a living structure. It is a living matrix. It's a living consciousness that you have been connected with, that you are able to merge with and read. And these are the most wonderful, profound types of dream information. If you're creative, you can write a book from the monad, or paint several paintings, or one painting from the monad. Or if you're a dance teacher, you may have an entire dance routine for an entire show or series of shows from the monad. One monad can actually give you creativity, the source of that creativity, for an entire lifetime, and potentially multiple lifetimes. So monads are infinite structures. So the dream that I had yesterday morning, this was not monadic. This was not a monad information. This was more of information presented to be decoded, but was not an infinite structure. It was just a piece of information. So it's the difference between giving you a letter of the alphabet would be the dream information, and the monad would be the entire alphabet. So that's the difference. So I'm going to read this now. I feel this is important, so I'm posting on here before I make a video. My dream this morning was a false awakening, which is a type of lucid dream where you think you've woken up and you don't realize you're still asleep dreaming. This is often a prelude to more lucid dreams or astral projections. So in my dream, my husband, Cat's Magic, was up and walking past me in the bedroom. I opened my eyes, my dream eyes, and said, "How come you are up?" So this was the bit that I found strange, because it was early in my mind. It was the middle of the night in my mind. It was actually early hours of the morning, but in my mind it was very, very early. So why is he awake and walking past me? It was just strange, but I still didn't realize I was dreaming. "I wanted to give you this," he said. He handed me a piece of paper and said, "It is a murder, death, kill." Now this phrase, murder, death, kill, reminded me of the film Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone, where Sandra Bullock keeps saying murder, death, kill, murder, death, kill. If you've seen the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I'm frowning and thinking, why is he giving me a murder, death, kill? And I said to him, "Why have you given me this? I don't want this. It's a curse." I kept saying, "You've given me a curse." Then I looked at the piece of paper. It was like archery practice, like a target. So if you were doing archery practice and you were trying to get the arrow into the target, you'd have like concentric circles going around with like a bullseye in the middle. So this is what it looked like: a target practice archery board, or like a dart board with concentric circles and a bullseye in the middle. Around the outside, in the largest concentric circle, was the word all around death. In the middle concentric circle was the word murder, and right in the bullseye, right in the center, was the word kill. So I looked at Cat's Magic and I said, "What is the antidote?" And he handed me a black umbrella, folded down, a long, slim, folded down black umbrella. I then visibly relaxed, very relieved. I then felt safe. I knew this umbrella would protect me. I put it beside me on the bed, and I went back to sleep. Not that I was awake at all, but I went back into normal sleep, normal dream. So the lucidity of the false awakening stopped. So when I woke up, I started to think about this, and my thoughts were, if you are looking at this target, so we had a murder, death, kill, but not in that order. In that order, it was death, murder, kill. Death being the outside of this bullseye formation. Murder being the middle concentric circle of this target bullseye formation. And in the very center, in the bullseye, kill. So I was thinking death, well, that could be the virus. Murder, so I would liken that to the Jorje Faloid situation and the subsequent reactions to that situation on all levels, including the cabal reaction or the cabal instigation and creation, and the reaction of the people. So I'm talking about peaceful protesters, different kinds of protesters that are not the same as the peaceful protesters, and the reaction on all accounts of that situation. So the reaction to that, which is a small part of an attempted planetary takeover or a dark strategy to remove or bring down someone in a position of political power, you know who I'm talking about. That in itself is like a strategy. So death, virus, the next one as you move in towards the center, which is like the next big thing, like the next spike, if you will, but presented as a circle, is the murder, the Jorje Faloid situation, and everything that followed that. And right in the center was kill. Now, that obviously hasn't happened yet. If we're looking at this target situation as being a template for part of the dark strategy, or the way that the dark strategy has played out, I'm talking somewhat in code here because I'm conscious of censorship, so I'm saying as much as I possibly can without saying too much. So the central point to the bullseye kill, and I'm thinking, well, death, murder, kill, I mean, they're all the same thing, really, but they are different aspects of that. Death, virus, many have died, virus. So bearing in mind that this entire template, this entire structure is not a naturally occurring organic structure, but a falsely created structure. So that's the whole thing. That includes the kill in the middle. So whatever that may mean, what is the next thing, if you will, the central point to this dark strategy, whatever is coming next, is also a falsely created structure, a simulation not organic. So when we look at virus, we are not looking at an organic situation. We are looking at something that has been engineered or created, and the reactions have been fueled. Everything's been directed. Everything's been orchestrated. Some reactions have been organic reactions, but those organic reactions have been directed in some way based on the knowing of the directors, the knowing of the psychology of the human race. So the reactions from the individuals regarding these issues have been orchestrated and engineered and sort of pushed into the place where they wanted it to be pushed somewhat. Yet within that, within the structure so far, there has been somewhat of a failure. It hasn't completely gone exactly the way it was planned. It's not been as successful as it was intended to be from the perspective of those that are directing the plan. So when you look at the whole plan, death, murder and kill, they are all engineered. This is not an organic template that just happened organically and naturally. That's not the situation. So if this is all part of one target, one structure, then this gives us the knowledge we need in advance of the next thing. And if it's in the center of the board, the center of the target structure, then it's going to be that which makes the loudest impact, the greatest impact, because it's the bullseye. It's not going to make the same impact as the aspects around the edges. So because it's all part of the same structure, we know that the next thing is also engineered, which is very important, because one can get to a point within this dark strategy, if one isn't in alignment with the energies and in alignment with themselves and their own discernment and their own knowing, one can look at the situation and think, well, what is this? Is this real or is this not? Is this person involved or aren't they? This source says this isn't real. This source says it is real. What's the truth? So this structure is showing us that the central point, that which is coming next, is of the same vein as the outside too, all to do with death, murder, death, kill. Death, murder, kill. So death being the virus, people have died. Murder as in somebody taking someone else's life deliberately. So what's kill, and how is kill different from murder? Then when I asked my husband, what is the antidote? And he gave me this umbrella. So I was thinking, well, what would an umbrella protect you from? Well, an umbrella would protect you from the rain, from getting wet. Where does the rain come from? The sky. So the umbrella protects you from something above you. Is it rain? Is it actual rain? Is there some harmful substance in the rain? I'm kind of feeling that's not really what this is. Is something occurring above us? I'm thinking that's more in alignment. So obviously many things have gone through my mind as to what that could be. Now, when I compare this with the other dream that I had the other night, which I asked the 9 to assist with, that was a monadic structure given to me on the white paper from Donald Trump. So if you haven't seen that video, go and watch that video so you'll understand what I'm talking about. Now, in that monadic structure, I was astounded and surprised to see that the dark strategy, the dark plan, was not the virus and lockdown. I thought the virus and lockdown was the whole thing, and that everything would then stem from virus and lockdown, and the virus and lockdown would be used as the a springboard for the implementation of the New World Order and more control. When I saw the white paper monad handed to me by Donald Trump, I saw that the virus and lockdown was just a tiny part, and that the dark strategy, the dark plan, was much bigger and involved all the elements: earth, air, fire, water, and ether. So if you go watch that video, the 9 have actually brought forward key codes and triggers for anyone who is listening to that information to be able to allow that dream monadic codex to activate within you, yourself. Rather than me giving you my interpretation, you are actually getting the codes from the 9 as interpretation to assist you with your own decoding, because that monad is important because it's presenting the entire dark strategy. So we're looking at all the elements: earth, air, fire, water, ether. Now, this latest dream, which is a false awakening, as I said, this isn't a monad. It's not an infinite structure. It's just a piece of information, just part of it. This one dartboard target practice bullseye with the concentric circles, as if you were going to pull your archery bow and let an arrow go. This would be the target practice, and that is just a piece of this overall dark plan. And it called in the dream, the name given to it, murder, death, kill. So death, virus, murder, the Jorje Faloid situation and the reactions to it, and all of the riots and all of the looting and everything that's occurred from that. And that's fire. One of the elements in that is fire, because there's been lots of fires. Kill. So if kill is a separate aspect, I doubt that is using fire, because we've had that element already. In the death, the virus, we have air, not being able to breathe, our lungs. So that's air. The next element is fire. So this central one, I mean, rain is water. Could the umbrella be something that protects you from water? Could this be involving the seas, the oceans, or the water supply? Or is the umbrella as a canopy shielding us from something above, something around the planet in space? So I don't know. I look at the energetics I get from the 9 and from the dream imagery, and I try my best not to interpret too much, because if you do interpret, if I were to say, oh, this means it's rain, you know, it's acid rain, is going to hurt us all, that limits that right down into that one thing. And then I'm no longer able to open my mind to the possibilities of all the other things that it could be. So I'm remaining as open as I possibly can as I share this with you, so that you also may step forward with your analysis and your ideas, as you did with the last dream video that I did, and all the 9's triggers and codex that they presented. I had so many comments on that video, on the YouTube comments section. And this is about working as a team. This isn't about me. It's not like Magenta Pixie's a channel. She channels the 9. She's got the answers. She's had a dream, and all the answers are in her dream. Go listen to Magenta Pixie and you'll find out what's going on. This is not the energy of the new earth. This is not the energy of unity. This is not the energy of where we are going, or what we need to move into this ascension timeline and bring down this dark structure and recreate a structure of light. This is not what this is about. This is a team effort, a collective effort. So anyone who is standing as a channel or a psychic or a clairvoyant or an empath, one of the ways you can discern as to whether this person is genuinely presenting to you truthful and aligned perspectives and information to the best of their ability, they will invite you to be part of the message themselves in some way. Either by saying, don't listen to me, just take this on board, take what resonates and leave the rest. Or by saying, well, I don't know what the answers are here. I don't know what this could mean. Let's work it out together, which is what I'm saying here really with this dream. And this is why I don't get the answers, because the 9 are now saying to me, the team effort is now more important than ever. Your time as a teacher, if you like, as a deliverer of the message has changed. And now your time is connecting with the group, the collective, the team. I mean, it's always been that way, but now more than ever. There's no more time for competition between spiritual teachers and psychics and truthers and people delivering this information and influencers. There is no time to move into a world of competition and ridiculing one another and saying that another person's information is wrong and that you're the one with the right information. There is no more time for that. This is a collective effort now, because now is when we're in the middle of this situation. So now the team is needed more than ever. So the other thing about this umbrella, it was black, so that's important. This canopy of protection. It reminded me of Mary Poppins. You know, the black umbrella that Mary Poppins is floating down to earth holding? Now that in Mary Poppins signifies her transportation. Now transportation is the Merkabah. Is the umbrella the Merkabah? Is it the Merkabah that is our protection, which is moving into that higher dimensional state, moving into the 5th dimensional configuration, the higher DNA, the light body? Mary Poppins stands for magic. Is it magic, which is synchronicity? Is it all of these things? I'm thinking yes. But could this be more literal, as in an umbrella protects you from what's coming from above? Could this be something occurring above, something in space? Now, when it comes to the aspect of the dark plan known as Project Blue Beam, this was brought to my attention many years ago when I first came online in 2008. And I was told quite categorically from the 9 then that timeline had been bypassed and that Project Blue Beam would not be in our future. Having said that, there has been a change recently regarding this. And what I'm feeling is that the Project Blue Beam potential is being looked at by the dark directors who are directing this plan, orchestrating this plan, controlling the plan, or trying to. This has been somewhat resurrected as a potential in a new or different form. So it's not Project Blue Beam as it was. It's kind of got bits of Project Blue Beam in it with a whole new expression, because we're looking at more advanced technology. I was brought to the attention of Project Blue Beam in 2008. That's 12 years ago. The technology advancements in the secret worlds and realms that we are not privy to here on the surface of the earth have advanced exponentially. So it wouldn't be the original Project Blue Beam. It would be expressions of this in a new way. Yes, I do think this is being looked at and thought about as a potential. Whether that's actually brought into our reality, I'm not sure. I'm not ruling it out. But it may be that if that black umbrella is the Merkabah, then it may be something that prevents the ability to access the higher Merkabah that could be part of that dark plan. And I do feel that that's part of that plan. And I feel that the chemical biowarfare through the Maxine is designed to prevent the brain from moving into enlightenment states and the higher DNA configuration. So I continued to write here, the umbrella reminded me of Mary Poppins, so could the protection be magic? Any dream analysis suggestions gratefully received. I actually wrote that on social media. I'm not trying to scare anyone here, so I want to make it really clear when you present something like, I had a dream about a murder, death, kill, and it was death and then murder and then kill. That sounds really, really frightening, and that sounds really, really scary. My aim is not to do that. The Nine's aim is not to do that. It's the opposite. It's absolutely the opposite. However, one needs to look at the dark strategy and the dark plan, and if these words, death, murder, kill, are words to describe different aspects of the plan and the strategy, then it's helpful for us to look at what those words may mean, even if they are metaphor. And we have seen that the virus and the next situation, the Jorje Faloid, that's not metaphor. This is really, really happening. This is a tangible, physical thing. So this suggests that the next step into the bullseye, that which is kill, that is the explanation of, is physical. So it's not about telling you something fearful is coming and trying to scare you or present a dark agenda, as I have been accused of many times since I've been delivering this information. This is about being forewarned. Being forewarned is forearmed. It's a warning. It's so that you can get prepared. It's so that you are not in a state of expectation so that you manifest it, but so that you are informed on all levels, so that you have the tools needed to be able to act, to be able to be aware. This isn't presented to make you feel helpless, like, oh, okay, what are we supposed to do? This is about empowerment. You can't be empowered if you don't understand that which is coming at you or coming towards you or in your future. Can we change the timeline for this? Very well, possibly. And that's the whole thing about this other dream, the monad that was handed to me as a white paper by Donald Trump. That is multidimensional and a living consciousness with the starseeds at the very topmost point. So of course the timelines can be changed. But we have put out a call for freedom and liberty. We have put out a call collectively, along with the planet Earth herself and the solar system, for a raise in polarity. And if the only way that the raise in polarity can occur is to bring down the old structure and the dark masters within that structure, and if the only way to actually bring the dark masters in that structure down is to show the entire population of the world the dark structure and the dark masters of that structure, and the only way to do that is through this target practice bullseye template, a murder, death, kill, then do we really want to change the timeline of that? Even though what's coming may not look as though it is something any of us would want. It looks as though it's something all of us would not want. Yet is that the only way, given the situation and the consciousness on this planet at the moment, to get to the bringing down of the dark structure and the moving into this lessening of polarity and the new earth? Might there be a way to bypass that bullseye? Could we change the bullseye instead of having this kill as the center? Can we change the bullseye to love? Can we superimpose a different target practice onto the murder, death, kill and change it into life, compassion, love? Of course we can. And all the starseeds are doing that all the time. If they don't move into fear, or they just move into fear for a while and then integrate it, they're coming back into love. They're coming back into empowerment. So of course they can change that, and they are doing that. But at the same time, this template, this target template, is what is in the consciousness of the dark directors, controllers, orchestrators. So we need to know what's in their mind, because they're not going to change what's in their mind. And if they do change what's in their mind, it will simply be another aspect of the same dark strategy. So not trying to scare anyone here. These are dream message advance warnings, so you can prepare for what might be ahead. Please remember, so far, the first two aspects to the target practice diagram were engineered, as I said earlier, not naturally occurring. The same will be for the third, the bullseye. So this isn't a natural occurrence. So when it happens, we know this is engineered. And I think we need to know this in advance, because the bullseye, it looks as though it's going to present as if it's natural. Now, the other two presented as if they were natural, but we can see where they are and where they're not. And please, I am not saying that there was no natural element to these. I'm not saying there was no virus and that people did not die of that virus. I'm not saying that. Neither am I saying that in the murder that there was no murder and that a person did not die. I'm not saying that either. But the core of these two events, death and murder, the core, the seed, what was engineered. That's what I mean. So when you look at these things, you are going to see both a naturally occurring aspect and an engineered aspect, which is why it is so confusing for the average person, because they are in polarity thinking. So it's either the virus is engineered and man-made, or it's natural. That's the way most people think. So if you think it's natural, you're going to hate the people who think it's engineered and man-made. You're going to think they're crazy conspiracy theorists. And if you believe that the virus is engineered and man-made, you're going to think that these people who think it's natural are dumb and stupid and not awake. But there's elements of both. And that's how the dark strategy works. So that in the meantime, or in the process of the dark strategy and the implementation of it, the people become at war, because they can't move out of polarity thinking into multidimensional thinking. Now, the same with the next thing, the Jorje Faloid and all of the reaction and all of the protests. It's like, did somebody die or didn't somebody die? Were they all in on it, or was it all real? Where was somebody partially in on part of it but didn't realize the rest of it? We need to open our thinking to get to the truth. Protests, I've had people say to me, are the protests the bad ones, or the police, or the army, or the National Guard? I've had people say to me, the police are the bad ones, the protesters are innocent. I've had people say to me, it's the rioters that are bad ones. Look what they're doing to the police, the innocent police. That's polarity. We need to raise to multidimensionality. It's in all of it. So there are corrupt police and good police, corrupt military and good military, many good military, to be honest. There are innocent, caring, loving, compassionate protesters that are peaceful, and aggressive rioters. And all of this is mingled together. So you can't be in polarity when you're trying to decode these dark strategies and the murder, death, kill. when you're looking at that, it's going to be even more difficult to discern the next aspect, which is the central point of this target structure. It's going to be even more difficult to discern. That's why we need a team on this to look at what it could be. And we need to work together. One person isn't going to have the answers on this, even if they have higher connection. This is a team effort now. It's a group effort for those who can think multidimensionally. So if you've been fighting and arguing because of the virus, and you've been fighting and arguing because of the riots and the situation, then it's going to be even more difficult for you to deal with the next thing. But if you've been able to navigate this and be aware without falling into polarity, or maybe falling into polarity for a while, but then integrating it and coming back to the full awareness, then you're going to be more prepared and far more accurate in your discernment with the next thing. So I continued to say, please remember, for the first two aspects to the target practice diagram were engineered, not naturally occurring. The same will be for the third, the bullseye, the central point. Hold those umbrellas high, or channel your inner Mary Poppins. So what that means is activate the Merkabah, use your magic, look to the skies, find the canopy of safety, work out what these things mean. Take these symbols as triggers to your own meaningful subjective experience. Take this video of me speaking as part of your synchronicity. And if this video is in any way connected to anything you have been going through, then that is the team effort, the collective consciousness at work. The last video that I did about meeting Donald Trump in the underground bunker and him giving me the monad, the white paper, I have been inundated with people, with emails and messages from people who had very similar dreams on the same night, to the point where other people were in that bunker, they saw the same thing. Other people were handed a white paper, some went over the last week, not necessarily that night. Many had dreams of Donald Trump, of him speaking to them in different ways. I mean, I've been just blown away by the amount of people that connected with that dream. Or if they're an artist, they just so happen to draw a new painting or create new digital art that's completely in alignment with the dream. Or they've had the words white paper in their minds. Then this is across the world. We are a team. We are a team, and we are a telepathic team. We are a psychic team, and we're continuously in touch with one another. If we were meant to come into this reality and just go into a new world order regime, then why is there a telepathic psychic team of lightworkers here, all in communication with one another? They're here for a reason. They're here to guide this future away from this new world order regime, totalitarian, draconian future, into one of safety, harmony, and creativity, where individuals can move into empowerment and fulfillment and wake up happy every day. Wake up happy every day and think, I have a goal and I wish to achieve my goal. And then they clearly forge a path and move towards that goal with no interference. That is not happening here right now. Every goal we have is infiltrated. Every time we try to step forward to create, we are prevented from doing so. And none more than the President of the United States. You can see how every step he makes, there is infiltration and friction and blocks, and yet he's still doing it. But this is something we're all going through. This future we are creating, this won't happen anymore. This will not happen to our children. Our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and our great-great-grandchildren, and so on. They are the ones that will be able to fulfill their goals. And they'll look back at us, the light workers, and our telepathic team, and they will be in gratitude to us for paving the way for them for millennia yet to come. And that will go galactic, and we will be spoken about on other planets. And when you go to other planets now that are already in our future, that's already happening. That's who they are. They are our future. They already know what we went through in the year 2020 and around the whole 2012 rebuilding of the new Earth. That's already happened from their perspective. So we are going galactic in our philosophy and in our awareness and in our thinking. And this is forward into our future, down the line of descendants, drawing in everything from the ancestors. We become an ancestor to our descendants. The gratitude from them comes up the line and comes back to us, to our heart. So our gratitude that we feel in our hearts is coming from our descendants. And because there's no time, we can feel that now. We can feel our great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren and their gratitude for us. Yes, they haven't been born yet. They're not going to be born for thousands of years or hundreds of years. But there's no time in the true reality. We can see our descendants now and they can see us. And we can feel their gratitude. It just comes back up the line to us. And we can shoot it back to our ancestors and draw down everything that they knew. The wisdom that they knew. So all of this is happening to us when we become multidimensional and when we go quantum, and we're doing it together as a team. This telepathy, this psychic, intuitive, empathic connection of the heart. That's what all this means. And that's exactly what I wrote next. I said, please also note, if we were not supposed to succeed in this game or war, then why would we be getting the psychic, telepathic, intuitive messages or warnings in the first place? Stand strong, rise together, take back our power as one. And I had several comments, and so I just thought I would look at these comments and maybe read some of them. So someone's saying here, this feels like a premonition dream mixed with a personal subconscious message. The message came from your husband that is significant. You can trust the message. The target with the words on feels like you're uncovering a plan that's a goal of the cabal, that was part of some of your past lives. That is who this is written by someone on my Magenta Pixie page, and I would say you are completely spot on. I do have past lives that are connected to this personally as well as collectively. We're looking at Atlantis here, we're looking at Lemuria here, but I'm looking at other lifetimes. So this person is absolutely correct. Your question is now, instead of just revealing it is, what is the antidote? The black umbrella could be a shield, but you're not a frightened child. You are an empowered soul. So you know you don't need protection. That's true. The black umbrella could be, as you said, return of your magical abilities, but it could also be your weapon to counteract the death, murder, kill. That's also true. Very interesting. The content of your messages would have ensured your death in earlier times. Accurate, I am aware of that. And it appears you have a bit of a stuck story about that. Well, we all do. We all have, and that's something that we are all releasing now. Every time we get annoyed for being called a conspiracy theorist or we're attacked spiritually, that brings up the past lives where we have been shut down with this message. We have been shut down with that magic. So that's all true. Your Akashic records need to be updated, past life events corrected and brought into the present time. You're a warrior soul. Instead of murder, death, kill, in this life, you're fighting the good fight. since the Earth, and some of us now reside in the fifth dimensional energy. The story looks different from there. We cannot rely on our past methods for success. Even though things appear bleak at the moment, it's always darkest before the dawn. So yes, resonate with all this. Keep doing your work. The Earth needs you. Thank you. That's a lovely comment. Somebody else is saying, with the opening of the Olympics playing in 2012, there are much of Mary Poppins with umbrellas that all came out of the sky. Oh, right. Yeah, I'm sure I did actually watch that, but goodness me, I didn't really liken that dream imagery to that. And that's interesting because the Olympics, the 2012 symbology, the whole thing may be where the orchestrators need to show us what they're going to do, tell us what they're doing. So going back to the Olympics in 2012 and that opening scene, might be interesting to go back and watch that and look at all the symbology there, because we did have sort of people in hospital beds and medical staff and all of that. So yeah, absolutely. I hadn't thought of that. Again, somebody else here has said what they've said here would amount to Project Bluebeam. There've been a lot of rumors about that. So what could it be? 5G? Is 5G coming from above? I mean, yes, I'm not thinking it's that though. I don't think so, because I'm seeing the sort of above 4G network as penetrating all energies. And I'm also seeing blocks put in place there. So I'm not seeing that working, and I'm not sure how an umbrella would relate to that. Could be though, and it is, see how helpful it is when other people present their ideas of what these metaphors could be. So there are tons and tons of messages here, tons and tons of messages. If you remember the Demolition Man film, think of Wesley Snipes' role. Put to sleep and fed all the info necessary to fulfill the wants of the top man in the city. Even Wesley Snipes did not know where his info came from. Specific targets need to be hit just to score the correct hit. Umbrella shield from a downpour, a buffer from an onslaught. Mary Poppins was a governess, she was a nanny, she was a nurse. She came to help the children and the family, to put their priorities in the right direction. And the father told the governor of the bank what to do with his money and went off to fly a kite. So yeah, I mean, so much. You can just deeply look at all this, these metaphors. So these comments go on, and obviously you can go over to my page to read them. So that was the first post I wanted to talk to you about. But I do think this video has gone on quite a long time. So I'm going to end this video here, and I will make a second video discussing the other two posts that I've put on social media. So thank you very much for listening, and I shall go off and make a second video now. But rather than putting it all together and you sitting here for absolutely ages, I think it's better to put it into two videos. So I'll be back with a second one. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back soon. Bye. What is karma? Are there ways we can balance this and become karma-free? Is there a particular nutritional plan we should follow for ascension? Do we increase our karmic balance by eating certain foods? How can we utilize sex magic to work with karma and move through ascension? There are many lessons we can learn from the peoples of ancient Lemuria, a civilization that existed before our known history on planet Earth. As we move through an ascension process collectively, we move back into a new Lemuria, and we take with us all the knowledge we have accumulated since those times. In this transmission from the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, key codes are presented for cellular memory recall, linking the reader beyond Atlantis and into the harmonious frequencies of the first physical civilization on the Earth, Lemuria. The 9 respond to questions using the Lemurian way as a template. Key-coded responses trigger activations within the reader as they receive the wisdom codes, standing as rainbow warriors of Gaia, moving into abundance, alchemy, and Stargate ascension. This transmission is dear to my heart, and I'm so very pleased to announce my new book, Lessons from a Living Lemuria.